Okay, cool.
Okay, Ajay. So, like I said, there are 48 questions. So, I'm going to start with the questions that are meant for everybody else. And then we'll also check out questions from her memoir, which I think
Okay,
you will, I mean, relate with.
relate or
I,
relevant.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so starting, I mean, we are actually starting from a very, it's a semi-structured thing. So if we talk about a
Hmm.
question and you feel like going in a different direction and talking about that, we can take that route. It's not a very structured thing. And
Okay.
because I read something in a different order, so I might just start with something which is not the thing I should start with. So order mein nahi hai, basically.
Cool, cool.
Okay.
ठीक है.
So the
Yeah.
first question I have here is, uh, what were the perceived psychological and physical effects of antipsychotic medication that you had to take? So basically, first, did you take antipsychotic medication after sort of being diagnosed with psychosis?
Yeah, I did. I just I have till date taken only quetiapine and Risdon,
Yeah.
and so the effects. Firstly, I think the effects were the things that I was hearing, the voices that I was hearing, they stopped. So that was one effect.
Okay.
Uh, Decrease in sexual libido was another. Like I
Right.
didn't feel sexual, or my libido decreased. Also, some physical changes, such as I think I started gaining fat for a slight period of time.
Okay.
So I did. So the major part was that I stopped hearing those voices, and yeah, I was very lethargic. I was very sleepy. I couldn't work very well for a period of time. Like, as so lethargic, I listless also sometimes, and very sleepy. Like, I used to feel a lot sleepy. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, considering the things that you've listed are only negative things, the I couldn't, I started gaining
Uh,
weight, I couldn't, my libido went down, and I voices shut down, and all of that. You
yeah.
not one benefit you've listed of psychiatric medication.
I
Why do you think that is?
I think these were all the one benefit was that I stopped hearing voices, because
Right.
that was the only indication of psychosis most of the times for me. So that was one good thing that happened.
Right.
That I stopped, like those symptoms stopped. Like I couldn't hear voices again. Also, I don't know. I mean, while talking to my friends also who have been around me, who have been very close knit group, they said somewhere I changed as a person after my medication after psychosis. I've
Right.
changed, but I personally I don't know what has changed so much. Actually,
Right.
but I couldn't. मतलब और positive तो यार यही है कि psychosis वापस नहीं हुआ.
Right.
Like मेरे को और कुछ उससे मिला नहीं. हाँ.
So when you first sort of understood that what was your diagnosis? Uh, what
So my diagnosis, I think, happened way back in 20, if I'm correct, 2017, the first time that it happened, and it was cannabis induced psychosis.
Okay.
So that was my diagnosis, cannabis induced psychosis. It happened, it was diagnosed in 2017 around, say, November or December.
Right.
And the first episode happened in 2017, and then one happened in, I think, 2018, and one in 2019.
And all
So
these
I think,
you happened because you sort of continued smoking, cannabis again. You sort of
yeah,
resumed.
I resumed. Like, I actually stopped it for a while, but just when in 2018 I'd gone, uh, like I can tell you about 2019, I'd gone again to, I'd stopped it for a year. I'd gone to Himachal to my friend's place, and I thought it will be fine. Like, I can just have a puff, or I can keep having it.
Right.
And starting में 2-3 दिन I kept doing it, and उसके बाद हुआ.
Right.
So every time in 2018 also, I think I went through it once. That also happened because I did it once.
Right.
So collectively, like collectively, करने के बाद हुआ. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So talking about medication again, on removal of the medication, like Did you feel any withdrawal symptoms when you stopped taking the medication? And also, were you encouraged by the psychiatrist or the psychologist to discontinue antipsychotics? So, I mean, the question basically what I'm trying to ask you is, uh,
Yeah.
the generally psychiatrists and psychologists, don't uh, they don't really tell you, okay, you should, there should be a point where you stop taking medication, and they
Hmm.
don't encourage that. They're like, we'll lower the dosage or you continue taking for long periods of time, and they don't really
Yeah.
encourage discontinuation, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm asking, when you discontinued, did you feel any withdrawal symptoms, and was your like psychologist or psychiatrist sort of helpful to do that, to discontinue or
Yeah.
taper?
So no, so two things. One, I did in between discontinue it myself without the without asking the psychiatrist. I actually discontinued it, and I did not face a lot of withdrawal symptoms. But yeah, I think I just faced mood swings after discontinuing it. So I faced mood swings. Like sometimes it was a dip, sometimes it was a high, or random low moods. So mood swings was the most important thing I faced after discontinuing it. But I'm still now, since 2019, my last time in November I had a psychosis. So I am still right now on medications, and my psychiatrist wants me to, like, I want, they will reduce it. They said in the next, since the lockdown happened, I couldn't go and meet them, so I have not met them in the past 7 to 8 months now. But they are going to reduce it, they said, but I don't know when they will seriously discontinue it.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least,
Yeah.
at least they're encouraging. That's
Yeah, they're
good.
encouraging to reduce it. And I have, like, they said that, okay, I have become better, or better in terms of the way I'm talking, and in terms of way I'm sensing things around me. So, but this was before the lockdown, till
Okay.
March.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, Another thing, and all of these, some questions are from my experience also, so they might not be
Okay.
true for you. Uh,
Okay.
so, and I mean, according to RD Lang, psychotic people, they often do exaggerated impressions of people or their habits that they do not like. So, did you demonstrate their behavior to illustrate? I mean, basically, this is what it is. There is certain behavior that a person within your sort of your friend or your parent or somebody whose behavior you do not like, but you don't confront them, face to face,
Hmm.
because psychosis in itself is not a very confrontational uh,
Hmm.
illness, because most of the things that you do are very secretive and behind.
I,
So uh, what I used to do, and what like RD Lang also says, is in order to show this person that you are getting irritated by their behavior or frustrated, you
hmm.
demonstrate what they are doing to you, and you
Hmm.
elicit the same response from them, and you do an
Hmm.
exaggerated impression to sort of say, do you now understand what you're trying to make me feel? Like, do you get how irritating your behavior is?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's a, I mean, you're mimicking them, you're doing it just to show them that you're not directly telling them. Does it ring true with you? Did you do things like that?
So I didn't mimic anyone, but I remember one of my friend told me this, and I had forgotten. So yeah, I had two instances that I've forgotten, and which my friends have told me that happened. One was that I actually pulled, now in right now, or when I'm not in psychosis, I wouldn't do something like this. So one, I actually pulled my friend like really hard from her arm, to like, I was getting really irritated, and I just like pulled her in a very harsh way, which I would never do. Like, I'm not very expressive. Like, I don't do harsh things on people. I don't go all out like that bodily, but I
Yeah.
actually went all out, and I pulled her through the arms to just say ki, okay dude, irritated. That was one instance which I don't remember. Like, I actually don't remember doing that. And second is another, when I was at my friend's place and she was taking care of me. So I actually almost shouted at her and told her to get out, and I don't want to see her face. Now, when I'm not in psychosis, I actually would never say that to the person. Like, I would probably word it in a different way. I would say, okay, no, I don't want to talk right now, or I'm not feeling good, something. But in psychosis, I was very direct and I was like, no. And in a very bodily manner, I said, oh, I don't want to see your face. Please get out of this room or shut up. So these are two instances that have happened. But again, I have also done this I remember that, for example, once I thought I was in a auto going back home with my father from the psychiatrist ka visit. So I thought I was Deepika Padukone and I was
Right.
sitting like her. I thought I was actually like I was mimicking the way she would sit or whatever.
Right.
And people like my friend and my dad were like, "Is he zoned out? What is he doing?" So that was one. Like I was like, "No, I'm just like chilling. Like this is what it is."
Yeah.
Yeah. So that I've done a lot. Like even I actually, also because of my sexuality, I think it's very fluid for
Right.
me, because I remember I was going to, so in the starting, I for my first doctor was in Ulasnagar, which I didn't really like. We were going by train. We were at Kalyan station, and two of my friends were with me. So that time I was in psychotic, and I thought, okay, these trains are actually, partition is happening, and this is how my aunt had arrived from pre-partition Pakistan, and this is how she had gone. So I started mimicking her. I had a shawl like always, so I was like, okay, I'm this, and now we are going to get into the train and then we will go to India. So I literally zone out and go into these different
Right.
timelines while I'm in psychosis, and I literally feel that. So in the latest one also in 2019 when it happened,
Right.
so my mother passed away when I was quite young. I had a trip ki, oh, I'm married to someone else. I'm married to a friend. And so I was in Delhi when the psychosis happened, and I came to back to Mumbai. In Delhi, I have a friend in JNU. So in my mind, I had got married to this guy, and I was coming back home after marriage. So now my dead mother, is telling me how to behave in the house. Now you're married, you have additional responsibilities, you have to do this. So my father was going crazy saying, why are you working in the kitchen, what are you doing, like what happened to you suddenly?
Right.
So these things I've done while in psychosis. Yeah.
Right. But again, picking up from that point, I mean, sometimes I'll leave my question here. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
the so I mean, when people from the outside notice what a person is doing in psychosis, okay, their
yeah,
impression is, oh, this guy is suffering, or this guy is, oh, kitna
yeah.
struggle kar raha hai. But
uh,
you, I mean, internally, we are going through like a very vivid imagination or a like a fantasy
yes.
world of our own, and
Yeah.
sort of enjoying it maybe or relishing it or whatever. I mean, it's not mundane or boring to say the least for me personally. So,
Agree. Yeah.
would you say that it's different and it's not really suffering? And how do you see that? I mean, how is it different from how people see what a person is doing in psychosis and what is
uh,
actually happening?
I think I agree with you. Like it isn't traumatizing in the parts that I like. When the story is my story, it's not traumatizing. So there are two parts to it.
Right.
One part is so one story in my mind was, when I was in Delhi, I was walking on the roads and I heard Smriti Irani's voice in my mind, and I was like, oh, she's coming after me. She's like, oh, we'll kill the Muslims, or we'll kill this and that and yeah. And I got that made me a little. I started palpitating in thoda. But
Hmm.
then when I went to my friend's hostel in JNU, and then the story changed, I was like, okay, now I'm married to this guy. This is our first night. That I started enjoying. Like
Okay.
that, I was in a different zone. But
Right.
again, it was different. Like it is not really been in your senses, but it's a different. It is not traumatizing as much. So
Right.
therefore, I could actually travel from Delhi to Bombay in a train with my friend. I mean, I could actually function, sort of normally. Like people didn't, nobody knew I was psychotic, but I was psychotic the entire journey.
Right.
Even while I was in the hostel with my friend didn't really realize that I was going through these things in my mind, even while I was looking at him and talking to him. But
Right.
even my friend, she's from this Rashida, if you know. I
Rashida,
don't know
yeah, yeah.
Rashida.
I mean,
So
I know who she is, but we haven't interacted or anything.
okay, so Rashida ke saath I was coming in train from Delhi to Bombay. She thought something was off, but then again, I was, for strangers I was normal. Like
Right. They
who
don't know you.
like strangers, yeah, they don't know me, so they don't know how I act normally or what I would do.
Yeah.
So Aram se I came from Delhi to Bombay, and then I came home and everything happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Again,
some parts I would agree, yeah, that are not traumatizing in some ways. Yeah.
right. But mostly, would you say majority of the experience you enjoy, and there's some parts which you don't enjoy, but most of it you enjoy, or is it the other way around?
I think the first 2 or 3 experiences I didn't enjoy, because then I didn't know what was happening. It's only by the end of it, like last year, some parts I was really living through my own storyline. So that I enjoyed, but it has been different in my sense. In the starting, I didn't enjoy.
Right.
Yeah, yeah,
So taking from you saying that people in the train didn't know who I was, so they didn't know I was psychotic. Uh,
yeah.
I mean, we have this fantasy of escape, that we'd be
Yeah.
anonymous or
Give
strange
me,
stranger in a strange land, right? So sometimes,
yeah.
I mean, I have had
Give
the
me
feeling of leaving my town, going back home, traveling, because
yeah.
it was kind of like a
Wait, wait,
defense mechanism, like if I yeah,
give
yeah.
me a second. I just have to go and come back in 20
Yeah, yeah,
seconds.
sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Hi. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
no,
actually tea time, so my father usually calls me out. It's
right.
my job to make tea, but I've told him today to do it.
Oh, I make
Yeah.
tea at my home, so I take
Oh,
the same
that's nice.
responsibility. Yeah.
That's nice.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I was actually talking about, just a second. Yeah, so I mean, no need to do the verbatim question, but the thing is, uh, I had this fantasy when I was psychotic that, uh, you know, if I go to a strange place, if I go to a strange land, I'll be a stranger there. Nobody knows me. So even if I'm
Hmm.
acting out, who the hell knows that I'm acting out from my
Exactly.
normal personality, right? So I had this fantasy. I'd maybe want to run back home or travel or go to a different place, like an
Hmm.
escape. It was kind of like a defense mechanism that, uh,
Yeah.
like if I was feeling in my room, I was feeling very stifled. I'd walk outside and I'd be like, okay, now this is a better place. People don't know me here, or no, they still do. Okay, I'll walk further and things like that. Did you ever try to use this defense mechanism ever?
Um, like I remember last time, I literally was when I was psychotic, I went to TIS, and there were a couple of my batchmates who sort of knew what was happening to me but didn't know what was happening. And so yeah, I actually knew that I did not want to be with someone. So actually in the entire 3 year period about my in my illness, my ex has always been a very big support to me. So he has made conscious effort to bring my friends together and take care of me. But then when I was psychotic last time, I felt that okay, he's an ex and I don't want to go with him right now, and this is not a safe space. So I had this distinction in my mind between what was safe and what was unsafe. So this was happening with me ki, okay, my ex wanted me to come home with him and go to my house, and I said no, I feel safe in TIS. I was at my friend's hostel in TIS new campus, so I said no, tonight I'm staying here, I feel safe here. It was also because working on the past, I wanted to cut that connection and just have a different life, also respect him but still be with new people and have that life. So I was choosing that, and it was very difficult for him to convince me. So then they took me to Rashida's house, and there I felt safe. So I said I will go to Rashida's place, I don't want to go to my own house.
Right,
That was one. And in the first instance, when I was in Ulhasnagar, like the doctor was there, I have some relatives in Kalyan. So the doctor told me, and that doctor, she wanted me to be hospitalized, but my friend said no, you can't do that. So she said that okay, keep him at the relative's house for some days and we'll just observe him. The second day I felt so suffocated there in the house. I was like, this is not my space. I want to be in my own house in Chembur and in my own bedroom and just chill. Like that was there in mind. And I was pretty creative. I think the psychosis period was very creative for me, because I had all sorts of ideas of starting an organization, and I was brimming with that. And I was like, fuck, where is my space? I want to literally sit down and write and work of making an organization. So my friend came and sort of rescued me from my relative's house and then took me to my own house where I felt better. So yeah, I had this distinction between what was safe or what was not good, what space was good or bad for me. Yeah.
Right. Uh, did you? I mean, before this is before the psychosis, and we're sort of trying to get to why. I mean, we'll probably never get to why psychosis happened to us and not somebody else. But
Hmm.
did you ever feel like a lot of pressure to conform or to, like, as you're feeling, to be, uh, to forcefully comply, to certain codes of the society or to certain rules or something, and because of this, you had like a lot of hatred, aggression, or hostility towards that. Like, I mean, generally, uh, the point. I mean, in psychosis, the sort of rebellion that comes that, okay, this is something everyone else is doing, and this is the social fabric. I don't want to do this, or I'm going to run away and do something else. That is always there. So I'm trying to understand, was it there even before psychosis happened, with you personally?
So even before psychosis happened, one major thing has one major line since the past 10 years has been my sexuality.
Right,
So since it doesn't fall in the heteronormative heterosexual category,
right,
I've had a lot of tough time in engaging with that against society, so putting me into the heteronormative brackets. On the other hand, I also, even as a homosexual or gay person, bracket my thoughts. I conform to other things, because if I'm not fitting in somewhere, I'm at least fitting in these boxes at least. Oh, I have an education, I have a master's, I'm an assistant professor, or I'm the ideal son, or I'm earning. So all these checklists, I try to conform to that. Even
right,
if you see me in the family with my extended family, I try to be the good person there, trying to be respectful of others, not really rebelling then.
right,
And with my friends also, I try to. So I personally feel, yeah, I have always try to fit into boxes, and I still do. Like, I still have brackets, or I where I can't really express, and where I feel like I want just one person where I can, with whom I can express everything and anything that is happening in my heart. So yeah, and sexuality has been a major thing where, even though I had no option but to cross that bracket and go out of that box,
right,
but even then, if you see, I have this patriarchal notions of, say, even as a gay person, for example, I don't know if you would know, there would be preferences, top and bottom, for
right.
example.
Yeah,
So as a bottom person, then if I prefer to be a bottom, so these are there are these boxes. Okay, so then the top person would be someone who would be earning, or the bottom has to be in the house and work.
right.
All of these boxes come there also, so
Right. So
I
it's
still,
not like the other thing is devoid of any boxes or sort of categorization.
yeah,
It's
it has
you
its own
you leave
categorization.
this,
Yeah,
but
it
you
has its own.
also you need to fit into the new one, or otherwise you're just, where are you?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. You come out from one well and fall into the ocean, or something like that. One well or to the other well.
Right,
It's
right.
like that. Yeah.
Uh, okay. So this is one of the symptoms of psychosis, when someone believes that their thoughts, actions, or presence caused something to occur. These thoughts are known as ideas of reference.
Okay.
Did you have ideas of reference when you were going through psychosis? Like, because of my thought, something has occurred, or because of,
Yeah. Yeah.
and or there are ideas of reference can also include these people are talking about me. I just heard my name and things like that. So, did any of these ideas of reference happen with you while you were psychotic?
Yes. Yes. In the first, I think mostly it happened in the first time. I was in a conference actually, and I actually zoned out. I was going through psychosis for the first time. While sitting in the conference, I thought everybody was talking about me, and I thought, now it was like a U-shaped conference room, and I thought there are 50 people from 50 different royal kingdoms of India and Nepal,
Right.
and I am someone from. I have not been discovered yet, but this is like a training ground. Everybody is meeting, and now everybody would meet me and welcome me into the group.
Right.
So if someone was from University of Baroda, for example, I thought, okay, they are from the royal family of Baroda. If someone is from Hyderabad, if someone is from Aligarh Muslim University, I'm thinking कि ठीक है अलीगढ़ का कोई नवाब है जिससे हम लोग बात कर रहे हैं.
Right,
So
right, right.
all of that, so this happened, and by the end of it, the second day, I don't know, some random. He was a JNU professor. He sort of sensed something, and he came and gave me a hug. And then, literally, then I went back to the hostel room. But I did feel that, yeah, referencing there at that point where I was feeling, ki, okay, everybody's talking about me or to me, or something is happening to me.
Right.
Also, the last time when it happened in 2019, I thought that, oh, when I was in JNU again, the story where I was with a friend and I thought I was married to him. Now he's a PhD scholar there. And that time the protests were really high JNU mein last year. So
Right.
they had actually, what they had done is they had वो VC के ऑफिस में जाके उन्होंने ग्राफिटी आर्ट बना दिया था, तो ये मेरे को लेके गया दिखाने. They took me around and all. So I actually thought that I am the eyes and ears of Shalini Bharat, professor and director. and and it is, and also because it's so fluid, like gender identity, my gender identity is so fluid. I felt like, oh my god, the woman has to go through so much. She has to like really look into this. And then I thought I have to now go back to her and tell her what I've seen. And this is what vice chancellors and directors feel like. I was literally feeling like that. So when he was talking to me, even when his name is Parish. So when he was talking to me, I was also thinking, ki, okay, I'm a master student. He's a PhD scholar. We are married. So all of these complicated things were
Right.
happening in my mind.
Right. Right.
Half the time I was thinking, even when I was back in TIS, I was like, I really had real engagements with either Professor Shalini Bharat or Shami Modi from my department. I was like, and Sonali Kusum. So I was like, okay, so women go through these things and they have to keep secrets. There are secrets between universities. You have to talk to men. And how is it to be a woman and a director? And then you have to talk to a man who is a vice chancellor.
Right.
What engagement is that? So I felt all of that.
Right.
And yeah, that came to me easily. Yeah.
Talking about, I mean, now that you're talking about secrets, let's talk about one very common sort of belief that we have. Might not be true for you. All these things, take it with a pinch of salt. This might not be true for you, right? Uh,
Okay.
did you often feel like a spy on an enemy territory that is being followed or surveilled? Did you use a lot of cryptic codes, ciphers, and secret language that only you could understand? And if yes, why did you do that? I mean, like you were saying, I am the eyes and ears of Shalini Bharat in that college.
Yeah.
So you are actually a spy, sort of like James Bond, and you're gonna
Yeah. Yeah.
report back to the tower, and like, this is what I've gotten. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
did
I
you
was
do a lot of this spy detective work and use cryptic codes that people don't understand? And if yes, why did you do it?
so starting में, in the first psychotic period, I did feel that uh, I was some random activist, and the RSS or the right wingers were behind me. So
Right.
I was literally terrified because I was thinking, ha, CPI or whatever. And I also thought ki Congress and CPI will come together and they'll save me.
Okay.
And wherever I went, actually, oh yeah, and I used to follow. I have literally survived journeys like this. I alone on a bus from Himachal to say Delhi or Delhi to Himachal, alone, psychotic. And then I used to be like, okay, I used to be like, I'm some district magistrate, a judge, and there is a car behind me, or there is a car in front of me, and cars pe India likha hota hai. So I used to be like, okay, this is a government car, and I'm a government official. That's where I got all the confidence to be normal. Like like the because I thought I was losing the confidence there, and because suddenly something was happening, and these thoughts used to come. No, you are a district magistrate to behave like that. So I behaved like a judge in public, and I used to have that aura. So that was one. Second, yeah, spy matlab only as a spy like that. Last में ये हुआ था कि uh, I literally had this thing in mind कि okay, I am in JNU and TIS में oh, the protests are just beginning and JNU mein chal rahe hain, so I have to go back to TIS and actually take it all from there and bring it here and tell them, okay, ye
how
ho
to
raha hai,
how
all
to
of
do a
this.
protest properly, like teach them,
Yeah,
like.
properly, yeah, teach them or tell them this is what they are doing, so these are the things. I have met this guy, I've met this guy, I've met this general secretary, and this is what he's saying, so I have to relay the message back to the general secretary here. So that happened to me. And by that time is also like in the students union, I was almost giving legal advice to the labor union. So
Right.
this was a sort of a very internal underground thing that was happening last year, and I was a part of I was a part of that group where since I'm a lawyer, I was trying to help them legally. So the labor union in the college. So I was in touch with the president Bhattaram. I was in touch with Aisha, general secretary. I was like, they were on call, so I called them in between from Himachal also. I was like, okay, what are you doing, what's happening, what's up?
Right,
So I actually acted on these things.
right,
Yeah.
right, right.
So I think this is true for me in some senses. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, now all
Yeah.
I'm revisiting everything. Like I'd forgotten about these things, but abhi mujhe realize ho raha hai ki okay, these all things I've gone through.
Right.
Yeah.
uh okay, there's this very famous psychoanalyst called Daniel Nafo, and
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to send you a link to the video if you're interested. Very, I mean, fascinating what she says. So she says
Mm,
that psychosis is an attempt to adapt to a terrible reality or unfavorable circumstances. It's an attempt
mm,
of making sense of the unusual things happening in one's life. So I mean, what she's trying to say is that ऐसा नहीं है कि तुम्हारा लाइफ नॉर्मली चल रहा है और फिर साइकोसिस के सारे सिम्टम्स आ गए. What happens
mm,
is some unusual perceptual experiences you start having, and then
mm,
as a fighting mechanism you try and to make sense out of that, and
mm.
whatever you're doing in that, making sense and trying to figure out how do I live through this, is what psychosis is. So psychosis is a fighting attempt, is a sort
Mm.
of trying to make sense of your situation. How much, to
Okay.
what extent do you agree with her, and if yes, then how does it fit in with your psychosis?
Yeah, I think I would agree quite strongly
Right.
because the year when it happened in 2017, it was one of the worst years that I went through. So what happened in 2017 is I went through a breakup, and it was a terrible breakup. Like a third person came and it was a terrible breakup. So starting January mein ye hua, breakup hua. I lost my aunt in the same month in a few weeks. And my ex's family was also close to me. So my ex also lost his grandmother, and I had to be there also. They didn't know I was we had broken up, so I had to be in his house also, in my house also. So I was actually going through a breakup, then my aunt passed away, then his grandmother passed away. Within 1 month I had my final year LLB exams. I remember I zoned out in my LLB paper. That same year I had qualified for LLM TIS, that same year 2017 mein. But since I zoned out in one final year LLB paper for 30 minutes, I didn't write anything. And I was like, okay, I can't do this, and I walked out of the room. I was like, okay, I'm giving up my LLM seat, but I can't write this paper, I'll give this exam again. So four things happened: breakup happened, two people died, LLB final exams I failed, and five, LLM to chala gaya for tiska. So that year, by the end of it, by then October, that happened in June, then October mein I had a conference that came up, and October mein it happened, October November
Right.
somewhere. And also in that period I had also started from January or February itself. I used to do a lot of ek minute. My father, yeah.
Yeah. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, my tea is here. Yeah, sorry. So yeah, five things happened, and yeah, I was doing a lot of bhang.
Hmm.
So I was very naive actually. I have never been into, so I used to smoke up a little at with some friends, but bhang was easily available outside IIT ka hostel. Okay, I bhang ka jo powder all of that.
Hmm.
So once the breakup happened, I went like, I used to once I did a lot of it, like I experimented with it. I think मैंने उसको बॉईल किया या पता नहीं क्या किया, उसमें ऑयल डाला. I thought it'll give me more high, so I did that a couple of times. I was high for a week.
Right.
So I think I sort of overdosed on bhang. Like I did a lot of bhang that time. So
Mm-hmm.
which I shouldn't have. Like I shouldn't have been that naive. Like probably I think if I would have done it in a little quantity, less quantity, probably once a month or something like that, I don't think it would have happened into a psychosis.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh, just to inform you, we've just gone through 8 questions as of now.
Okay. Great.
And like I said, we're 48, so
I'm
we have 40 more to go. So I think I shouldn't just do it on one day, and we should take it. Uh, I mean, as leisure. If like you have another day to spare, that'll be great.
yeah, I'm on for it. Like I'm really enjoying this, and I really want you to write on this. Like I'm
Uh,
waiting for your dissertation to come
oh, that's
out
great.
and meet it
Thank
with
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Like this is some really important work. Yeah, like this needs to be out there.
Well, thanks, sir. Thank you so much. Again, so coming back to those interviewer and interviewee roles that we have. Uh,
Yeah.
so many think that there is a person hidden underneath the psychosis and underneath the psychotic symptoms that needs to come out. Uh, Okay. Yeah. So many think
Mm.
that there is a person hidden when you're going through psychosis, that the person is hidden under the psychosis and
Mm.
under the psychotic symptoms that needs to come out. But the person is revealed in their psychotic symptoms is another sort of viewpoint that has come out and not hidden. Which one of the two statements do you agree with and why do you agree with? So basically what I'm trying to say is uh, our real self, the sort of self of yourself that you see as this is me and your identity is
Mm.
the person who is not psychotic and who's trying to conform with rules and all of that and is normal functioning, or uh, the person who is revealed in psychosis, all the
Mm.
certain aspects of your personality that are exaggerated in you're more of a person in your psychosis. So which
Mm.
one would you say is more sort of closer to the truth, that you're revealed in psychosis, or uh, the person is hidden beneath the psychosis that is happening and that is just something else?
No, I think the person which is revealed in psychosis is closer to truth or closer to my truth, I think.
Yeah, I
Because
think that'll be correct to put that
yeah,
caveat according to me. Yeah,
my truth, yeah.
although
Because
I
there are
do
two
agree with you, मेरे लिए भी वही है, हाँ.
yeah, because there are two or three important personality things that came out of it. Like my sense of, say, when I thought of myself as probably a woman once, or my understanding of a woman, that came out very clearly to me, the way I would want to drape like a shawl or whatever. Second, my idea of a position, say like I thought I was the director, or I thought I was a very important person in this chain. So internally I have this idea ki, oh, I want to be a director someday, or an assistant director of an institute, or I have those things in my mind deep within ki, okay, I want to do that. So while in psychosis I become the director, or I become the judge. Like for so many days I was acting like a judge,
Right,
and or literally like talking and all of that. So I think that was my inner truth for myself, that was me, that was coming out. So
right.
yeah.
Oh, lovely. Thank you for that answer.
Mm.
I was a little doubtful about this, but thank God I asked you this. Uh,
No.
okay. This is a little heavy question, and you'll probably have to think about it a little bit. Uh,
Okay.
so there is this concept of. Are you aware of the concept of inner speech? Do you know what inner speech is?
Inner speech.
Yeah. Is this the
No, I'm
first time
not.
you is the first time you're hearing inner speech? It's
Yeah.
not it's a local parlance meaning it's a proper psychological term that we use. So if you don't know, you probably don't.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So I'll tell you what inner speech is, short mein.
Okay. Yeah.
Inner speech is basically, and remember a time when you were not psychotic, okay? It's the
Hmm.
voice in our own heads that helps us to think, our
Hmm.
thinking voice, and the one
Hmm.
that also helps us read a book, right? uh, it's also called subvocalization. So psychotic people, in addition to that also have voices that are not their own. Like
Hmm.
there is a claim that this is a dysfunction of inner speech. I'll just read through this and I'll try to explain it to you easily.
Okay.
Dysfunction of inner speech. It is our own voice that lets us think, but because of a malfunction, instead of recognizing it as our own voice, we recognize it as someone else's. Would you say that there is some merit to that viewpoint? Okay. So basically, inner speech is when you are not psychotic, when you're growing up, or when when you've recovered, is that
Yeah.
one voice which helps you think things through, and which helps you
Hmm.
read a book, right? So
Hmm.
that's your own voice which you recognize as your own. So there
Right.
is this viewpoint, is a famous psychologist called Charles Fernyhough, and what he says is the problem when we say that we are hearing voices, these are different people whose voices we hear, is
Yeah.
that you are producing this voice. It is your inner speech only, but what is happening is, instead of recognizing it as your own voice, it's a malfunction of inner speech where you recognize it as somebody else's voice. This is
Somebody
just,
else's voice.
yeah, this is just a theory, not correct. It theory out of multiple theories. So what he's
Okay.
trying to say is, normal people, they recognize the voice as their own, and we attribute it to somebody else, so we think, oh, it's somebody else's, but we are only producing it. So
Okay.
to what extent would you agree with this or not? And I mean, you can't completely disagree, you can completely agree, it's up to you. And to agree to a certain extent, all of that is
Right.
possible.
I feel or so-called normal people, even if they hear in a speech in a for example, if there are different speeches, for example, or different voices, if they hear, it really does not, they might not, they have the choice to not act on them maybe, or not go into it deeper, like it does not affect them so much, it's not too real for them. They can still have a disengaged okay, this is a voice. But in psychosis, if I'm hearing, like I've heard different voices, like I know I'm talking to, say, like I know, oh, this is Smriti Irani's voice, it's not my voice, or I
Right.
know this is Deepika Padukone's voice to me, or or some stranger telling me this or that.
Right.
So uh, I think then the mind does not like the on one hand you feel ki it's real, uh, it's a different reality, you feel ki okay, this is what it is, like ऐसा है जो मेरे दिमाग में voice या speech चल रहा है,
Matlab,
it's
would you say
हाँ.
that the things Smriti Irani is saying are things I would never tell myself? Or are the things that Deepika Padukone is telling me as voices are the things I
Hmm.
would never tell myself? That's why they're not my voices. Would you say that is correct to an extent?
Yeah, because everything else is different there. I mean, Smriti Irani is a totally different identity in my mind, and
Right.
I wouldn't. So mostly, like right now, when I'm not in psychosis, I know my inner speech. Like I know my voice. Like I know what it's where it's going or what's happening. But
Right.
in psychosis, I know it's a different voice. I know it's not me,
Right.
so it's different. Yeah.
Uh, Another thing that I wanted to ask, and I just completely I'm blanking, but abhi mere ko aaya and I just forgot.
आराम से. हाँ.
Uh,
Take your time. It's okay.
so you don't. It's because you won't say anything like that yourself. What else was I trying to say? Uh, Anyway, I think it's important. I will try to remember what I was trying to say. Just give me a second.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, mm, yeah, okay, yeah. Thank God, remembered. Okay, but Smriti Irani and Deepika Padukone, for example, and I'll tell you the
और
people,
शालिनी भरत. हाँ.
or Shalini Bharat, for example.
हाँ.
In
हाँ.
my case, a little bit of self disclosure. For me, it was Steven Wilson, or a musician that I'm really into, Adam Jones. Okay, and
Oh.
or it was my own alter ego that was talking to me, right? So these are not. I mean, if I were to consider that it's a dysfunction of inner speech, these are not very random people that have come and whose voices I'm hearing, because of course I would want to listen to Steven Wilson or Adam Jones or my alter ego. Like even for you, Smriti Irani and Deepika Padukone are people you would want to engage with. It's not like I'm hearing Shane Warne's voice. I don't even watch cricket, but suddenly he's telling me
uh,
about leg spinner. What the fuck? I don't want to know about cricket, you know? So there is some merit to the voices that I'm hearing are of interest to me. Like they're things that I am interested in. Wait. Hello?
yeah,
I think I
I can
lost
hear.
you for a second there. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, do you ever hear voices that are things that you wouldn't want to hear, or random people or random celebrities that have no sort of merit to your passions or interests?
I think only one instance where even I had forgotten. Just recently, my friend told me that I had told him that I'm hearing people calling me Rakhi Sawant. Now,
Right.
those are strangers or random people calling me Rakhi Sawant on the road. But yeah, so but again, Rakhi Sawant is Rakhi Sawant. She is still some person. Like if I'm watching videos, I'm like still engaging with that person.
True.
So talking to that person. So I think it holds merit in my view that probably the voices that we hear, we do have some conscious or some kind of interest in the kind of topics that would emerge from that.
True. True. True.
Like it wouldn't be unrelated. Like whatever actions we do, whatever things that are going through, it is somewhere related to what we are deeply interested in.
Right.
Like for example, my marriage also,
Right.
for example, my idea of my I really want to get married, for example, and it came out with the first guy I met, and I was like, oh, I'm getting married. So all these storylines that form in psychosis are where we are deeply interested or engaged in them somewhere deep inside, but we don't get it across in reality, in real sense. Like
Right.
we sometimes don't really think about it so much. Yeah.
Right. Basically the content of your, let's call these auditory hallucinations, and
Hmm.
I mean, even if I call them, I don't see it in the same light as like an illness or something. So it's just a term. I don't have any other term
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah.
But these
Yeah.
the content of these auditory hallucinations are always things that I am interested in, and it's not like a channel that I've tuned into which has no something that I don't really care about, or I have never invested time in it. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a very important link for you to understand this. Yeah, because it's always an interest. Because if I map my trajectory from the start to end, I've always had this idea about royal families, or professorship, or judgeship, or marriage, or people in position of power, activism, politics.
Right.
So all these keywords really have been in my life from pehle. I mean, from many years, 15 years maybe, since the childhood. Like I was a child who used to read the newspapers in seventh standard. I was
Right.
that interested in politics, and in 8 years ago, I started working in Greenpeace, and I did some mobilization and active. I worked with activists since 6 or 7 years. So I have always been into these circles and these things, and only these things came into my mind then.
Right.
Yeah.
Just give me a second. I need to go and take a leak. I'll just come back. Just a
Okay.
second.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, yeah, Aram se.
All right, Ajay.
Yeah.
Listen, when you get exhausted, just let me know. Today is anyway a Thursday, and
Okay.
I'm going to celebrate Christmas Eve with my brother, so I'll be drinking and all of that
Oh,
through like
nice.
webcam. So
Okay.
I have like मेरे पास एक plan है to sort of after this heavy discussion chill and have fun. So that's why when it
Okay.
gets heavy for you and you're exhausted, just let me know. We can do this
Okay.
over as much time as we want, and I don't
Okay.
want it to be rushed. I just want it to be like a
right.
discussion where we just, because we don't get avenues to talk about psychosis as
Exactly. Yeah.
खुल के, so I
Exactly. Yeah.
research is सिर्फ एक
For now,
जरिया
तो
है
I'm
मैं.
on.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I think I'm refreshed still till now. I'm all cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm enjoying this rather. Matlab, it's rare to like talk about it so much.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so now, okay, so I've told you what inner speech is, right? You're completely clear on
yeah,
that concept.
yeah.
So my next question is, how is your inner speech different from the voices you hear, and how do you distinguish between the two? I think it's a repetition of the previous one, but it's basically asking that earlier you sort of knew what your, at least even if you didn't have a name for it, you realized, "Eh, this is my own voice," and you're not getting troubled by it. And then
Troubled
there
by
was
it.
there was a time when you were hearing voices. So how did you distinguish between the two? And yeah, that's, I mean, that's basically what the question is. How did you distinguish between the two things?
Um, I did. I do remember that while in psychosis, I still had my inner speech intact.
Right,
So while there were different voices, I still knew what my voice was,
right.
which could make some sense, and that's how I seeked help also. Like while on Delhi streets, I was hearing these voices. I knew I had to go to my friend's place, or I was there is something and I want to go. So inner speech was intact there. But what is different? So you want to know what is different from
No, I just wanted to know, how do you distinguish, because both are voices, both are
yeah,
voices that you hear in your own head. So
yeah.
how do you know, oh, this is me talking and this is a voice? How do you distinguish between the two? How are they different?
So what happens is the inner speech actually, which is actually the inner speech, it mellows down. It is not there all the time, and it's usually the other voices talking. In fact, I will share an audio with you on YouTube. Someone has mapped those voices. Actually, they have tried through therapy in
Oh,
therapy
yeah, like a
sessions. They have
stimulation. Yeah, yeah, I've seen that.
simulation. They have tried mapping the voices that they hear, which is sort of a little, true to what happens. But
Mhm.
yeah, in the so in psychosis the inner speech actually mellows down. I don't think itna inner speech hota hai. It's only in spurts and brackets and phases where the inner speech comes up. And to distinguish, I think it's easily distinguishable. I mean, it's like this. It's not, it's different. It's
Okay,
innate.
I'll
Yeah,
I'll make it easier. Okay, there are two
okay,
ways you can say this is different from the other. One is, yeah, the content that this voice is talking about is different from the content that this voice is talking about. That's one.
right,
The other
right.
is qualities of the tonal quality, or the texture, or the inflection, or male voice, female voice, high pitched, low pitched, all
Huh.
of that. So is
Yeah,
there a stark difference between the two?
yeah, both the points. Then even the content is different totally. Like I wouldn't think like that and not act like that. And yeah, even the tone, the texture, the way they are speaking, yeah, it's all different. So the
Right, right.
content and the delivery, yeah,
So
yeah.
it's easy for you to distinguish when it's in a voice, or when it's when it's another voice.
Yeah, it's quite easy. Also, I don't know if it's related, but there used to be this one exercise I used to do since many years. I used to lock my room. I used to listen to music, and while listening to music, I used to visualize. And even before psychosis, I used to visualize myself, say for example, as a judge. So I'll start walking in the room as a judge. But I can say, while I'm in psychosis, when I'm actually thinking I'm a judge, that's more real. While not being in psychosis, like right now I'm not in psychosis. Now if I listen to music and think, oh, I'm a judge, I'm a Delhi High Court justice and walking here, I have this car and the police guards, it
Yeah.
still won't feel so real as it would feel when you are in psychosis.
Yeah,
In psychosis, much more real. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Uh, okay. This is a question related to the representation of psychotic people in the media. So
Okay.
misleading media representations don't just worsen the problem of stigma, they also negatively affect voice hearers' own understanding of their experience and themselves. Can you
Hmm.
think of bad representations of psychotic individuals in movies, or a TV series, or print media? How has it affected you in your personal life? A few examples right on the bat. I'll give you. Uh,
Hmm.
it's either it's either a mad genius person like a John Nash in A Beautiful Mind, okay, a troubled genius person trying to do a lot and can't, doesn't have the social skills and all of that, and the other like the end of the spectrum is a violent maniac like uh, Fight Club, Brad Pitt or Edward Norton. So these are the two ideas that are floating around. Also in print media, most of the times uh, you do hear about cases of violence, and this happened because this person was on certain such and such medication or had such and such illness, and like they also did a paper on it, and 48% or some figure of the time it was always about violence, the association they made. So has that affected your own, I mean, first, do you think it leads to stigma, and do you also think it changes your understanding about who you are, like when you're trying to make sense of me as a psychotic person, who I am? uh, would you say it affects
So
you?
yeah, I mean, if I see mainstream media, for example, or in, I feel, I mean, I don't think people or the masses have actually gone into different kinds of languages related to madness. It's all the same for them. So it's the mad person is the mad person. It's not psychotic or the specific, kinds of madness that there would be.
Right.
So एक तो वो problem है. It's everything is mad for them. Everything is crazy or this person is mad. So madness का एक जो language होना चाहिए parlance में वो अभी तक आया नहीं. There's no parlance for that. So that is one thing. I don't see that happening. I don't see specifically people saying in movies or this person, or this person is psychotic or वगैरह. They'll just term them as mad. This is one thing. Personally, my personal experience, my father was my father in the beginning was afraid and sort of took it as a stigma to in terms of telling it to other relatives or
Yeah.
extended relatives. Like he was like, oh, I'll have to tell them that we are going to a psychiatrist, or achanak say what happened. So stigma, yes, but my relatives had just brushed it down. They were fine. So they did not, two or three close people, they did not really show it. They kept asking, are you fine, and all of that. I couldn't experience the stigma so much. And thankfully, I had very good bunch of friends around me who did not see it as stigma. But and in this also, I did not face any direct stigma from my batchmates also when they got to know that I had been psychotic. Or most of the times they were very helpful and all of that. So and in personal life, I've not. Yeah, many times. Usually when I'm out on a date or someone maybe in a romantic interest, they do surely feel a little afraid. Like I have sensed that. Like they so people do carry stigma, and I've experienced it in my romantic dates when I
But
would talk because
you
yeah.
disclose it off the bat, right off the bat? Hey, listen, this is something you need to know about me. Do you think it's important for them to know?
I think at the start, yeah. I mean, see, when I talk about my relationship and what has happened in the past 3 years, this has to come up.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I can't delete it. I can't say ki ye nahi hua.
Huh.
And it has happened so many times. So and I think personally also I'm more comfortable disclosing it to them in the start,
Yeah, that's
because then I don't want the wrong person who would say after knowing me for 6 months, who does not, or 8 months, does not know that I was psychotic, and then suddenly if by chance I go psychotic one day and if they are not there, that is a bigger problem for me. Like I want someone, like romantically at least someone should know. So now, but I take my chances now. I don't really disclose it in the starting. I was really e- easy in the beginning. I didn't know how to go about it, but I take my time. If the person is close, if person is becoming close, then I think I'm more comfortable in disclosing it to them in the start, so that they have the choice to, okay, make a choice. Like people have their own judgments and values attached, and I don't judge them for that also.
right.
So if you see even persons who disclose they have BPD, bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
So I mean, mostly people, usually I've seen people going afraid or then detaching themselves right in the middle. So I don't want to have that. So I feel more comfortable in disclosing it in the start
Right.
to my romantic dates. But usually with my friends I have not. Like the friends who know, they know. But most other friends I have not disclosed it. Yeah.
I'm surprised. How is this recording till 6:41? We started at 5:30. 40 minutes
Oh,
when it was supposed to terminate. I'm just a
yeah.
little scared. It is showing it's getting recorded. I mean, it's
I hope
exceeded
so.
one
Yeah,
hour.
I'm surprised as well.
Because I am not making any notes as of now. I'm just listening and being like
Listening on the
present.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's why I put it on record. If doesn't record, it's gonna drive me
I
nuts.
hope it
No,
records.
no, it
Yeah.
is recording. It's showing. I mean, I hope. सही है. I mean, कभी कभी शायद Zoom का malfunction भी होता है. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So I have one, two, three, four, five. I have five questions, and after that, I'm gonna end it so that we do
Okay.
a
Yeah,
next
sounds
session
good.
because it's. I mean, it is exhausting. It
Yeah,
is
it's been
very
like yeah 1.5 hour now.
yeah.
Yeah. But
You want to
पता
take a
नहीं
break
चला
अभी?
actually.
मुझे भी नहीं पता चला. इसलिए मैंने अभी देखा.
हाँ,
मैंने कहा oh shit इतना time हो गया.
इसका पता है. Yeah,
But
yeah.
again, if you want to take a break, अभी we can take. No issues.
No, it's okay. If you are not exhausted, we can go
I'm
ahead.
not.
Like
I तो love talking about psychosis. Listen, I can talk
yeah,
for 10 hours. It does, and
I
I'm
would
having
love
a
to too.
gala time talking to you right
Gala,
now. Okay.
me too. Like I'm
Literally.
really enjoying this. Yeah,
This is
yeah,
fun. If I made chai, I finished chai, I want another chai, I could have had fun. But
yeah.
I'm just worried about कि यार इतना maybe it's a very heavy
नहीं
topic.
नहीं नहीं नहीं. I'm
Uh,
not exhausted. I think the best part is I've accepted it and I'm really in it. Like I don't have any qualms about it. I'm happy that okay, this part also happened. Like ये भी देख लिया. So I have just owned it like in a way.
yes,
And
that's the way.
yeah, like
That's the way to go.
yeah,
Own it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, own it. Like, yeah, been there, done that. ये भी देखा है. Like, we've experienced this also. Like, this part of your consciousness or
And
mind.
normal life is so boring, man. Seriously, like why would you
Exactly.
why would you even want that?
I know, right?
All
Yeah.
right, moving back to the questions.
Hmm.
Okay, so I've written this is my personal experience. When I was experiencing visual hallucinations, it was. By the way, did you experience visual hallucinations?
Once, just once.
Okay, nice. So this question I can
Yeah.
ask you. When I was
Yeah.
experiencing visual hallucinations, it wasn't like they were uh, not indistinguishable from what I was seeing with my eyes in the real world. They were like holograms or seeing the world through glasses which had the hallucinations imprinted on the lenses. I could tell what was real and what a hallucination or what I like to call a mental image. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is forget about all,
Hmm.
I just read it so that I can remember मैं क्या पूछना चाह रहा था.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question is people when in medical terms because I'm also doing मैं medically भी पढ़ रहा हूँ DSM and all of that, so I'm trying to find a sort of common ground of lived experience and medical science and call the
Yeah.
bullshit wherever I can. So
Hmm.
hallucinations, visual hallucinations, they say that you are seeing something out there which is you're having a perception which is not really there of a sensation which you did not feel or whatever, right? Which is not really there. But मेरे
Yeah.
केस में क्या है? I felt that I am imagining a mental image and I am seeing the real world through say glasses and इस पे
Okay.
मेरे hallucination का hologram है. तो मैं डिस्टिंग्विश कर पा रहा हूँ कि ये hallucination है और ये real है. मतलब I don't have that problem. Whereas in
Okay.
hallucination, you have problem distinguishing. I didn't have that.
Huh. Okay.
I knew it wasn't something appearing in front of me. It was like I'm wearing a lens और ये मैंने
Then.
बनाया है hallucination और इसके through मैं देख रहा हूँ. So if you in your visual hallucination the case, what was it like? Did you see it appear there or was it in your mind and through that you were seeing the real world?
No, so it sort of appeared like I was sitting on my bed.
Hmm.
I was actually lying down, and it must have happened only for say 3 or 5 seconds. There's a showcase near my bed, like just across,
Hmm.
and there's a little Buddha ka idol, chota sa. So what I saw was it came out of the showcase and it started whirling around. And for a second, I was like, "What the fuck is happening? Like, how can it like whirl around in the air?" And then it just like randomly whooshed, like it just went back again to where it was. So
Right.
that happened. It was a very short, like 5-6 seconds ka tha wo. Only for 5-6 seconds, I saw it whirl around for like very fast for like 2 or 3 seconds, and then I caught myself thinking, "Ki, what the fuck is happening? Like, what is like, is this real? Is what I must have thought. Like, is this real? Yeah, ye kaise ho raha hai?" And then it went back.
Right.
So
So
this,
apart from
yeah,
that, you have had not a lot of
no,
visual. Okay,
no,
that's
no.
great.
Mostly it was auditory. Yeah.
Okay. Uh, this is a heavy question, man. Do I want to do it? Okay, let's do it. Did you experience? Do you know what thought broadcasting is?
I had heard once, but please explain. Like
Okay,
I want to.
thought broadcasting is basically the idea that मेरे मन में जो भी thoughts चल रहे हैं,
Huh.
everyone can hear them, can intercept them, can hear them. So I
Okay.
mean that's so if I'm thinking of something and saying my mom's cooking is really bad and my mom is in the kitchen, she can hear that. Is
Mm.
the idea of thought broadcasting, which is very
Okay.
common in psychosis and psychotic illnesses. So
Okay.
first of all, did you experience any sort of thought broadcasting? Did you feel like your thoughts can be intercepted by other people and they can hear what you're saying?
Um, Give me a minute. I think I want to really reflect on this.
Right.
Uh, as far as I remember now, not really.
Okay.
Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't feel like someone else was could intercept my thoughts. Yeah.
So as far as your inner world is concerned, it was a very
Mhm.
private space. You could think of anything you wanted to, and nobody would know. You
Yeah,
were,
yeah. Because I
oh,
was acting it out also. Yeah.
oh, that's great. I mean, that's all. That number one, that's great. Number two, it's rare. In
Oh.
yeah, yeah. It's because
Oh.
uh, I'll tell you what happens if this is something that has not happened with you. I'll tell you my experience. Thought broadcasting, mein, what happens is basically you feel like you have God's own radio in your hand. Okay. And
Okay.
everyone
Okay.
1,000 kilometers के एरिया में can hear you and is hearing you. So
Oh my
अब मेरे जो भी
God.
private thoughts हैं वो what I would want to do with Angelina Jolie, man, and what I'm seeing is everybody's seeing. So I don't want them to see me as a pervert. So what I do is I start talking about social change and I start talking about moral policing, कि ये
Oh,
पान क्यों थूक रहे हो रोड के साइड में, don't spit like this and try to be a better person and work like a hardworking man. All I'm having all
ah,
these thoughts in my private space because भैंचोद मेरा privacy ले गए सब. So now I
ah,
have to talk about these moral things and have to do moral policing. So my private
mm,
space is not, and it's hell, bro. It's hell
mm,
because मैं अपना प्राइवेट थॉट्स के बारे में कब सोचूंगी, ऑलवेज लिसनिंग टू मी, द रेडियो इज ऑलवेज ऑन.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
if you did not go through that, then you have had a very, I mean, pleasant, first of all, slightly pleasant, and it's a
Yeah.
good thing. I mean, thank God
Okay.
because I think yours will be a rare uh,
Okay.
occurrence apart from the other people
Correct.
that have. So I'm not going to ask you
Okay.
the following question after that, which is, did you get frustrated because you believed everyone else could hear your thoughts, but are pretending they can't actually hear them? So
No,
that
no,
that never
that
happened.
didn't happen. No, no, that.
Okay. Did you just hear voices or were there non-verbal auditory hallucination as well, like musical loops, barking of dogs, clicking, murmuring, etc.?
Um, Only murmuring could be the murmuring in a way. Let me see. Some sort of murmuring, yes. Some kind of murmuring. Like for example, I'm trying to actually trying to remember one incident in Delhi only. Uh,
Like say you're in a crowded bus and you hear the hustle bustle of the crowd while sitting in the seat, or
mm,
in a conference or in an auditorium in classroom. It's already there, but you're also hearing it. Like, uh,
yeah, in a way, yes.
yeah.
Sometimes. Yeah, yeah,
And did
yeah.
it bother you, or were you trying to find out what is behind the murmur? Would you try to understand कि क्या बात हो रही है, मेरे को सुनना है types, or you didn't bother?
I think I did try to find. Like I remember, I think voices were the most prominent, and even in the conference, like for example, in the first time when it happened, I was in IIT Indore, and I was alone, and I thought this is my boarding school, and I started walking randomly in classrooms, and I thought I have known this classroom, and this is 7th C or whatever. This is uh, I was a lot recollecting the past a lot while in my psychosis. That time, the first time I went back to my childhood and to my boarding school. So murmuring कम था, but voices ज़्यादा था. Yeah.
Okay, अब last theme पे आ रहा हूँ मैं. After this we'll
Okay.
terminate for today.
Cool. Cool.
And
Cool. Cool.
it's a nice theme because
Yeah.
so again there's this Dutch psychiatrist called Marius Room, and his
Mm-hmm.
claim is that the voices are messengers communicating important information about unresolved emotional problems. Do you think your
Okay.
voices have significance, that they point to underlying psychological problems? So basically what he's trying to say is there is a reason why you're hearing voices, and it's not just a. So if you go to a completely biomedical setting, they will see voices as symptoms, and they are not going to ask you what is the content of that voice, and they're not going to focus on that. They'll, अच्छा आवाज सुनाई देता है, इग्नोर करो या मेडिसिन खाओ, ठीक है.
हाँ.
बट
हाँ.
ये हियरिंग वॉइसेस नेटवर्क का एक साइकेट्रिस्ट है. हिज पॉइंट इज these voices have meaning and significance, and you should, once you delve deep into them and try to uncover कि क्या बात हो रही है, you will find out the unresolved emotional problems that resulted in these voices. So
Hmm.
would you say this that your voices have significance, or या उनमें कुछ meaning है, they're not devoid of meaning, they're not just symptoms?
Yeah, as we said, I think they have a lot now. Since I'm going back and getting those keywords again, I think they have a lot of meaning in my life, like the kind of thing that I either want to do in future or in the present. They come out.
Right.
So in the sense, these voices do make me act in that way at that time, and in a way that I want to act probably as a person. So they hold some meaning for me. They are not unrelated.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
when you were hearing voices, did you, first of all, did you try to make if they are, I mean, I in the beginning they're very distressing and they say bad
Yeah.
things and they trouble you,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
did you try to form a healthy relationship with them, and did you try to, you know, have more control over them, and you're like, okay, let's form a healthy relationship, and let's uh like befriending somebody who is not a very nice person, just
Mhm.
did you try to make that attempt?
I think that attempt in a way came when the storyline was in my way. Like when I was feeling good. It's like, you know, when I was actually sort of married to this guy in my psychosis, or when I was traveling, or when I was thinking that I'm married. So that was something I could live with and function with. So that was my attempt in sort of still finding some negotiation and space where I was still functional and living it through. I was not finding it was not distressing to me, but it was real in a way. But there have been like distressing times where I couldn't make them my friends or live through them. I
Right.
think it's only possible when you actually act out and when you're actually given the space to live with it totally. Like while on a bus, I can imagine as a judge and I would think कि अरे हाँ सबको लग रहा है कि मैं जज हूँ और मैं हूँ जज. So I'm living through it. Like कुछ टेंशन नहीं है, मैं भी अपना एक्ट कर रहा हूँ, वो लोग को भी लग रहा है हाँ ये ऐसा ही है. So it's all it's all good. So if
Right.
someone gets to act those on those voices, and that's the only way they can become friends with it. But I don't think you get a chance to do that for a long period of time, you because the trip ends or there is something else that comes in between. So I don't think you can live with it forever. I
Right.
don't think the trip will be there forever. There will be something that will come in between.
Right. This is
Yeah.
my last and final question to you for
Yeah.
today. Of course,
Yeah.
not.
Okay.
We've only done 18 questions. We have 30 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not. We'll do
Cool,
later.
cool.
My last
Sure.
question for today is, and this is just what you would in a utopian world. Okay, in a world which is ekdam ideal, what
Hmm.
would you want to? What would you prefer? Like, first of all, do you still hear voices as of now? Not
No,
your
I
inner
don't.
age. You don't hear voices.
No, I don't hear
So
voices.
in
They stop. Yeah.
so in your utopian world, would you want a, because I'll tell you the problem with the having voices is you don't remain functional in the society. Like if I'm a student and if I have voices, it's very difficult to concentrate and do assignments and be friends with people and or work a job and just be a part of this society as a
Yeah.
contributing
Yeah.
member. But
Member. Yeah.
leaving all of that aside, I mean, you can't, but let's assume you live in an ideal world where people are going to accommodate you even if you hear voices and there are systems in place for you to live like that. What would you prefer? Would you want to have voices and live a life like that, or would you don't want these, you want these voices to go away completely and live a normal life? What would you prefer?
Um, I think I would much rather see the voices that I hear. For example,
I'm
such
just
a
having
tricky
I'm just
one.
having fun just looking at you thinking,
Yeah.
what do I want? Is this something I'm still thinking, bro? Like it's been 2 years. I'm still
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah.
I think
I'm
I'd
so
still
sorry to put
want.
you see sometimes I can be
No.
an asshole in the interview position, but please just see me
Yeah.
as another fellow psychotic person. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I know it's a very like difficult question. If you ask me, and like, "तू बता तेरे को क्या चाहिए?" I was like, I don't know, bro. As of now, I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll do a little bit of self disclosure. I don't hear voices anymore. I hear my inner
Mhm,
speech, and
mhm,
it's very much in my control. I do, as a creative person, take a lot of masala from my psychotic episodes, for my
mhm.
songs, for my stories, and even for understanding someone else. Just to कि उसके कोई मूड वाला कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो आई अंडरस्टैंड उस टाइम पे ये था तो मे बी ये है. So I use a
Mhm.
lot of those experiences like in my pitara. I open it and I use it.
Yeah.
It's like my
Yeah.
khazana. But
Yeah.
uh, I know that if I have to live in this world, I can't possibly have voices and still function because ऐसा कोई system like we are talking about psychosis normally and then you go back to do normal things and there's no paranoia involved in all of that. ठीक
Yeah.
है?
Yeah.
This is an ideal situation, but this is
Yeah.
not fucking the reality of the world, right? So अगर
Yeah.
ऐसा होता तो I mean the voices were like 70% of the time they were harrowing and there was a lot of fucking just suffering that nobody else can see. But
Yeah.
there's also fun times and jokes and
Sometimes.
fucking
Yeah.
things that were interesting and all of that. So
Yeah.
I can't pick and choose. ये अच्छी चीजें दे दो और ये दे दो और वो. So it's difficult. Yeah, but
I think I would still choose to be this and in this whatever is normal. But since now I have the privilege to know what my true self ideally wants, like I don't think people really get to know that for their entire lives. Probably through psychosis, I now know okay, this is what I like.
right.
So I would rather replicate that in my life. Like I would put an effort to become a director of an institute or sort of a judge or an assistant director, or
Yeah,
to put an effort or probably marry someone so
yeah.
that I can actually authentically live and find some real joy or real happiness.
No, I
So I
completely
but
agree.
I yeah, but
Completely
I still
agree.
I think it's somewhere better to, like I would rather choose to be not hearing voices and living, because maybe there can be 100 ways to know yourself. I mean, psychosis was one, but I
Yeah,
don't know. There could be other creative
yeah.
ways to know. I mean, that is not the only thing that will lead me towards that.
True, true, true.
So it's much safer and better like this. Like even last time when once I smoked up. So okay, I've not told. So I'm confessing this, and I've
Mm,
not told this to my best friend, my ex. Okay, and he'll. So I've promised him that I won't smoke up ever and all of it, and I'm not doing it. Even like I've been to gatherings and people are smoking up, and I didn't feel attracted even.
mm.
But this year, March May on Holi, I ended up smoking one joint.
Huh,
Okay,
huh.
and very interestingly, I was high and I was like, okay, but something in me, maybe it was my inner speech. Now that I know it has a word, I said to myself, I don't want to be here. Like I really like I
Yeah,
because I know what I go through after that and what
yeah,
happens if this goes out of hand. So
yeah.
even that high was not that high was good, but I was like, okay, but this is not forever. This is not going to be forever, and this is not
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, I mean,
This,
we
yeah,
after you've been through that, you only
yeah,
remember sort of the golden and the nice parts of it. But when you actually think about it, the things that you've repressed, like the really fucking nightmares and
yeah.
those visuals that we couldn't let us
It
sleep
was,
and all of that, I don't want to go
mm,
through that ever. Okay, so I do agree with you. I also agree with the point that it's a good tool to understand yourself, and I had a lot of curiosity that was quenched in my psychosis, definitely. लेकिन
mm,
मैं essentially एक जो बंदा हूँ ना, like my real self, the kind of person I am, I have explored to the depths in like the episodes that
हाँ,
I've had. Now when
हाँ,
I go back, I'm not going to discover anything new. Like the
mm,
most important thing that I wanted to
हाँ,
discover, I think I have to like I've also discovered, I've forgotten and discovered again in another episode. Now I'm sure
हाँ,
कि यही है.
हाँ, तो
तो
यही है, हाँ,
हाँ तो
वाह,
अब
जी,
सिर्फ वही the psychotic episodes and all of the symptoms are going to come back, but there is nothing to look forward to क्योंकि जो discover करना था वो तो मैं कर चुका हूँ. So why am
उसके लिए,
hearing, why am doing this suffering? So I understand and I completely agree with you. लेकिन I'm also a mental health professional in the making, and
हम्म,
मुझे क्या लगता है कि like there was nobody for you and there was nobody for me to guide me कि क्या चल रहा है मेरे साथ and to help me out and
हाँ,
fucking just
हाँ,
give me a pat on the back कि सब सही हो जाएगा. That's what I meet anyone going through psycho. Listen, सब सही हो जाएगा, मैं भी हुआ, तू रोक कभी, मैं हूँ यहाँ पे.
हाँ, हाँ,
That's what I do because I really feel very strongly about it. But so the idea is कि uh, this way of living should be okay in the society, so that अभी अगर कोई 18 साल का बंदा wants to experiment with weed and happens to
हाँ,
go through this at 19 and his
हाँ,
friends are pieces of shit and or they're
हाँ,
fucking dominating and whatever the fuck, there should
हाँ,
be some place he can go to and just be like
हम्म,
somebody tell him it's going to be okay because we went through hell and the other
exactly,
person shouldn't. So yeah, I mean that's
yeah.
why I'm saying कि ये भी होना, there should be an option. I don't want to go back necessarily, but I can see, you know
Yeah,
कि-
I agree. I mean, there should be spaces. I mean,
yeah,
there should be more spaces where you can just be, or you can just be taken care of, or just where you are, because you need more. Your energy, physical, emotional, it all comes out, and it needs some safe space to come out too.
yeah,
So I also believe that there has to be these spaces.
yeah,
Yeah, but again, now I think this again will help me. Like you made a good point. Ki abhi, again, if I go into psychosis, I'll go back to the same pattern. Like,
yeah,
so that means I should jot these things down, and actually, like, these are the things that I've discovered, rather than going back and doing it and still finding not
yeah,
finding something new to
yeah,
discover. Yeah, this is
yeah.
a good point. Yeah, I think this will keep me away from weed now.
I mean,
I'll be like, dekh
we
liya
as we as addicts, I'll call us
hai.
addicts. We as addicts were always looking for. For example, मैंने अपने thesis में लिखा है, the last two times, my last two forays into smoking weed and hash were for academic purposes. And then
Ha,
in the brackets I've written, this is just some shitty excuse an addict is given.
ha.
But I just keep looking for reasons to just do it again, just,
Yeah.
and it's never, no amount of abstinence, no time period of abstinence is good enough to say, hey, listen, एक साल हो चुका है, अब तो भाई कुछ नहीं, कोई भी नहीं मेरे को रोक सकता, मतलब कोई वो नहीं
Ha,
कर
ha,
सकता.
ha,
It's just if
ha.
five people enter the room, close the door, and they're like, "Hey, we've got good stuff, and we're gonna start smoking. Up, do you have a problem?" Like, no, you
Ha.
can smoke, and
Oh,
after
yeah, you.
three joints, I'll be like, "Hey, मेरे लिए भी बना है," you know. But remember, there's nothing good is gonna come out of it, and the lure
Hmm.
of it. I mean, if you just, I mean, I shouldn't be recording this. It doesn't really is not a part of my study, but the people that I was with when I was smoking, right, who were sort of encouraging that behavior, I
Hmm.
removed the weed out of the equation. These are people I don't necessarily like. I don't like these people at all. Like if weed was not there,
Not
I
there.
I
Ha.
wouldn't want to be friends with you. You're a shitty person. You're not ambitious. You don't want to do anything in life. You're a fucking lay guy who's not good at the one thing. So you want to be a musician and you play
Hmm.
bass. You suck at it, bro. And you just walk and you suck at that thing. and you are inspiring me to do this shit, and you're like, oh yaar, मैं इनके साथ नहीं associate कर पाऊंगा if I don't choose this lifestyle, which is,
Right.
you just remove that thing and you just see objectively what kind of people they are and what they're achieving in life. They're this scum of the earth, and so was I. So
Mm.
just, I mean, stop yourself from ever, I mean,
Yeah.
it's also human nature. Now, if I stop you to not do something, that's the first thing you're gonna do. So
Right.
right. So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
just
I
telling
think
you,
in
like,
my last, yeah,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
use
No,
your,
thank you. You made that point.
yeah.
Yeah. In my last experience, actually, when this year it happened again, when I smoked one joint or whatever, jitna bhi kiya.
Hmm.
When I was high, I knew I was high, and I realized, okay, this is not where I want to be again. Like
Yeah.
I knew, ki, okay, no, this is not. This is something not where I again want to go in that mind, because right now it's fine. And then I realized, oh, it's so sweet to just not be high also. Like this, even it's boring and mundane sometimes. Even
Yeah.
it's so listless sometimes. Like you don't know what to do, but it makes sense. It still
No,
sense.
I
Yeah.
I mean, uh, when I was living this lifestyle where I was smoking up every day almost, and always doing other things on the
Yeah.
side, like antidepressants and whatnot, I felt like, bro, sober life is shit. That was my
Hmm.
idea of a fucking hipster. And
Yeah.
sober life is shit. I
Yeah.
can't live sober life. Sober life doesn't sucks, right? But and then I was like, beach mein, there was a time when I like, yeah, you have to make compromises and yeah, functional bhi rehna hai. So don't go
Yeah.
back and do this.
Yeah.
Now I fucking love this sober life. I'm not even just saying this so that you don't start or whatever. I'm absolutely loving this life. Like if you see my the music videos that I put out, and
Yeah.
how much I'm enjoying my music and even my craft and my writing, movies, books. I mean, I couldn't read a fucking book when I was high, okay? And those things are so important to me. Just
Yeah.
reading is so important कि यार मेरे से अगर रीडिंग ले रहा है ना भाड़ में जाए मेरे को रीडिंग चाहिए I choose reading over anything else. So
Hmm.
I just realized that I'm loving this sober life. Like my relationship with my parents has improved. Going back to
Yeah.
making chai for my parents, I would never do that shit if I were that hipster. And now
Yeah.
using that chai as a medium to improve my relationship with my parents and make them understand. Listen, I was curious, and yeah, hota hai. Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't experience, I wanted to experience, just to
Exactly.
explain to them ki you can understand me even if we're from different generations. There's so much, yeah. There's so much sober life has to offer
Yes.
that this life. I
Yeah.
mean, getting high
That.
yeah, will only get somewhere.
Yeah.
Like,
It's only. I know. Yeah. It's nice.
okay,
I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the next session.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm
Hopefully.
loving this, man. Thank God you are not like you're also enjoying it, because
Yeah. Yeah.
otherwise
I'm.
ये तो बहुत लंबा वो हो जाता, like torture for you.
नहीं, नहीं,
But thank God.
I'm actually again, because I'll actually write it down now, because so many memories have come back again. I'm like, oh, this happened, and now I can actually objectively, look at it from a different perspective and see what happened actually.
Bro,
So it's helping me also in a
if
way.
you're planning to write a memoir, I would say this
Mm-hmm.
is, I mean, use these sessions, man. Like if you get time, just jot down whatever. If it does rekindle a lot of things, write down just
Yeah.
in bullet points. Maybe you can expand on it later, because
Right.
then we both get something out of it, right? You're helping me tons,
Exactly.
so I want you to also take something out of it.
Sure. I'll
It was
probably write these things down now. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing talking to you, Ajay, and we'll
Same here. Yeah.
soon meet again.
Yeah.
You tell me whenever you're
For
free.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Happy
Yeah. Sure.
Christmas Eve.
Have a
No,
fun
Merry
night.
Christmas Eve. Sorry.
Merry Christmas to you too. Yeah, have a fun night. Drink. Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
drink on Saturday,
Yeah, you
my
can drink,
weekend.
man. Drinking is not a problem.
Drinking is fun. Drinking is fun. Yeah,
Chalo.
that's one controlled habit.